So raise your hand if you think Australia will ever see these AUKUS subs.
Put your hand down now.
Meanwhile, in America,
under the previous administration, we looked like fools. Not anymore.
3 days later.
Now, the White House has confirmed it inadvertently added a US journalist to a private group chat discussing classified plans to bomb Yemen. Now, it's an extraordinary breach of security with America's entire national security team in the group, including the vice president. The journalist, Jeffrey Goldberg, was informed of the strikes 2 hours before they took place.
Oh, jeez.
Mr. President, your reaction to the story in The Atlantic that said that some of your top cabinet officials and aides had been discussing very sensitive material through Signal and included an Atlantic reporter for that. What is your response to that?
I don't know anything about it. I'm not a big fan of The Atlantic. To me, it's a magazine that's going out of business. I think it's not much of a magazine, but I know nothing about it. You're saying that they had what?
They were using Signal to coordinate on sensitive materials and
having to do with what? Having to do with what? What were they talking about?
With the Houthis.
The Houthis? You mean the attack on the Houthis? Well, it couldn't have been very effective because the attack was very effective. I can tell you that. I don't know anything about it. You're telling me about it for the first time.
Let's not forget Greenland.
Denmark's very far away and really has nothing to do. What happens? A boat landed there 200 years ago or something, and they say they have rights to it. I don't know if that's true. I don't think it is, actually. You know, we have a couple of bases on Greenland already, and we have quite a few soldiers, and maybe you'll see more and more soldiers go there. I don't know. What do you think about that, Pete? So, don't answer that, Pete. Don't answer that question.
Greenland. We strongly support your right to determine your own future, and if you choose, we welcome you into the United States of America. We need Greenland for national security and even international security, and we're working with everybody involved to try and get it. But we need it really for international world security, and I think we're going to get it. One way or the other, we're going to get it.
That's really Bond villain level commentary right there.
Denmark, which controls Greenland, it's not doing its job and it's not being a good ally. So you have to ask yourself, how are we going to solve that problem, solve our own national security? If that means that we need to take more territorial interest in Greenland, that is what President Trump is going to do, because he doesn't care about what the Europeans scream at us. He cares about putting the interests of America's citizens first. Our message to Denmark is very simple. You have not done a good job by the people of Greenland. You have underinvested in the people of Greenland, and you have underinvested in the security architecture of this incredible, beautiful landmass filled with incredible people. This has to happen. And the reason it has to happen, I hate to say it, is because our friends in Denmark have not done their job in keeping this area safe. They just haven't done it.
Very obvious question wasn't asked.
What do the people of Greenland want? Which way do they want to go?
That's more like it.
The most important message coming out of Greenland under all this pressure is that in the long run, we don't want to be Danes, we don't want to be Americans, we want to be Greenlanders. Greenlanders have been talking about and working their way slowly towards independence for decades. It's a goal almost all Greenlanders share, but most of them, and particularly the majority returned in these elections, show that Greenlanders are not in a hurry. They don't want to be swapping colonial overlords.
My administration will be reclaiming the Panama Canal, and we've already started doing it.
You ask them what they want?
Cada metro cuadrado del Canal de Panamá y su zona adyacente es de Panamá y lo seguirá siendo. La soberanía e independencia de nuestro país no son negociables.
Oh, Canada. We don't need their energy. We don't need anything from Canada.
We are reliant on the Canadians. Now, you think about it percentage-wise, all the crude we import from around the world, the vast majority, Canada, 64% comes from Canada.
Canada, they're very tough traders too. I want to just tell you, of all the people, they're tough traders. They trade very tough. But Canada has been a very nasty negotiator against the United States, took advantage of the United States for a long time. So when I say they should be a state, I mean that. I really mean that, because we can't be expected to carry a country that is right next to us on our border, and it's just an artificial line that was drawn in the sand.
Enough with Canada!
Putting aside whatever's going on here, there are already a bunch of logistical reasons why these subs may just never eventuate.
Be discussing AUKUS with the Prime Minister, sir.
What does that mean?
AUKUS, the Australia-US Defence Alliance.
Yeah, well, we'll be discussing that. We've had another great relationship, and you have too, with Australia.
I mean, we know that production's already well behind.
In an extraordinary spray, Malcolm Turnbull said there is no guarantee Australia will get any submarines, despite paying billions of dollars. The problem, he points out, is that it requires the President to sign off that any sub sent here won't degrade the capabilities of the United States Navy. And right now, the US is not building them fast enough to service their own requirements.
And will Australia even have control over these things? Or will these just end up being US subs based out of an Australian dock?
The most likely outcome of the AUKUS Pillar 1 is that we will end up with no submarines of our own. There will be Australian sailors serving on US submarines, US flagged submarines, and we will provide them with a base in Western Australia. So we will have lost both sovereignty and security, and a lot of money as well. So that's why I say it is a really bad deal. So people say, will Donald Trump like it? Well, of course he'd like it. It's such a bad deal for us.
If Australia do receive subs, will they be the full package or the watered-down Trumpified version?
At my direction, the United States Air Force is moving forward with the world's first sixth-generation fighter jet. Number 6, sixth generation. Nothing in the world comes even close to it, and it'll be known as the F-47. The generals picked a title, and it's a beautiful number, F-47. Our allies are calling constantly. They want to buy them also, and certain allies will be selling them, perhaps toned-down versions. We like to tone them down about 10%, which probably makes sense because someday maybe they're not our allies, right?
So I'll ask again, raise your hand if you think Australia will ever see these AUKUS subs.
If we restrict ourselves to this particular period in time, the answer is no. The United States is not a reliable ally, is not predictable, is not reliable, as things are at the moment. That's unfortunately crystal clear. Can this situation be repaired over time? Let's hope. But I think, and you see that reflected in the European debate, we also have to prepare for the possibility that it can't be repaired.
Because I have to say, personally, I'm getting even more sceptical with each passing day.